In most manga, the main girl is either super pretty, elegant, or at the very least, cute. But not this one. This girl got isekai'd, transported into a fantasy world, and boom, she turned into a long-haired monkey. A maid quickly runs over to calm her down. "Don't panic, my lady," she says. "It's not a big deal. Please try to stay calm." From the maid, the girl learns that her name is Alesha, and she's actually the second princess of the empire. When Alicia was just 7, she came to this villa for a holiday. Back then, she was adorable, cute, pretty, like a little doll. But one rainy night, a witch came knocking, looking for shelter. Little Alesha thought the witch looked dirty and poor, so she rudely kicked her out. The witch didn't take it lightly. She placed a curse on Alicia, turning her into a beast. Before the curse, Alicia was ranked the second most beautiful woman in the empire, just behind her older sister Ariel. But after that night, she became an ugly monster and completely lost favor in the royal family. She's now lived in that villa for 11 years, basically forgotten. But hold on, don't be too quick to judge. Despite her appearance, Alicia actually has a fiancé, and not just any guy. He's the most handsome man in the empire, and also the captain of the Royal Knights. The only catch? He doesn't love her. He's actually in love with Ariel, Alicia's sister. But under orders from the emperor, he was forced to get engaged to Alicia. You might wonder, why would the emperor go through all that trouble for a cursed outcast daughter? Well, Alicia isn't just a beast in looks, she's also a beast in power. She's so strong, with insanely tough skin, that she can fight off an entire army alone. People even call her the Beast of Death. So every time the weak empire is invaded, it's Alicia who steps in and sends the enemies running. Because of that, the emperor was willing to give in to Alicia's requests, including marrying her off to the knight captain. After hearing everything from her maid, Alicia completely breaks down. Seriously? She's ugly, hairy, scary strong, and she stole her sister's man? What kind of heroine is this? She stares at her reflection over and over again, unable to accept what she sees. Finally, she slams her hands on the table and makes up her mind. She's going to do something about it. Soon after, the maid brings in a strange pot of syrup. It's a super sticky sugar mixture Alicia had specially made. Without hesitation, she spreads it evenly on her arm and rip, yanks off a strip of hair. Her entire body. Let's just say, anyone who's tried waxing knows exactly how that feels. Just how tough is this woman? After being reincarnated as a hairy beast, she didn't even flinch. Without batting an eye, she smeared thick, sticky syrup all over her body and ripped her hair off, one strip at a time. Because hey, sometimes a girl's gotta be ruthless with herself. Alicia finally uncovered her true face, and wow, it was stunning. Even the maid next to her was speechless. Who knew the lady was actually this beautiful? But there was still one problem. Her body was still built like a tank. Big, bulky, not exactly ladylike. So what did Alicia do next? She called every servant in the villa to gather. And guess what? Even though she's a princess, she only had about a dozen servants. That shows just how neglected and disrespected she was. She had the head chef brought before her, then asked, "Why is my daily menu always full of greasy, high-calorie food that makes you gain weight?" The chef nervously explained, "It was all ordered by the first Princess Ariel. She said it was specially tailored for you." Alicia paused. Something felt off. Why would her own sister give her meals designed to fatten her up? With a sharp edge in her voice, Alicia declared, "From now on, that diet is cancelled. I'll be in charge of what I eat." But the chef protested, "But that was Princess Ariel's personal arrangement. She only did it for your own good." Alicia's expression turned ice cold. "Shut up. Did you forget who the real master of this house is?" she snapped. Her voice rose. "Listen up, all of you. I am your master. From now on, anyone who dares disobey me will not be forgiven." Her words worked like a thunderclap. The same servants who used to whisper behind her back, calling her a monster, were now trembling in fear. After that day, Alicia threw herself into a brutal weight loss routine, a total makeover. She followed a strict diet, exercised, and slowly, her natural youthful beauty and energy started to shine through again. She also took over managing the villa's finances, only to discover that all expenses used to be handled by her sister Ariel. And wouldn't you know it, Ariel had been spending a huge chunk of money just to feed Alicia fatty, greasy food every single day. It was like she wanted to completely ruin her body. At this point, it was clear. Ariel isn't the sweet, perfect sister she pretends to be. She's hiding something dark beneath the surface.
She wasn't just a noble princess of the empire, she was also known as the most beautiful woman in the land. But she had a sister who was treated like a beast. Unlike the elegant older sister, the younger sister, Alicia, had been cursed, transforming her into a monster. Because of this, her family cast her aside. She was exiled to a lonely villa in a remote area. But being cursed wasn't the worst part. Even in her monster form, her older sister Ariel kept plotting against her. She didn't just secretly spy on Alicia, she went so far as to instruct the villa's chef to feed Alicia high-fat, greasy food every day to make her even bigger and more monstrous. But then something changed. That day, one of the spies in the villa sent a letter to Ariel. "Your sister, the second princess. It seems she's broken the curse. She's returned to normal." Meanwhile, inside the villa, Alicia was training with a knight. After months of brutal weight loss and intense workouts, she had shed all her fat. But not only was she slimmer, her strength was still terrifying. She overpowered the male knight with ease, leaving him unable to even fight back. Still not satisfied, she lifted her enchanted sword and sliced a stone statue in half like it was paper. Even the hardest marble couldn't stand up to her power. Just as she was admiring her strength, her maid rushed in with news. "Your sister, the Grand Princess Ariel, has come to visit." Alicia didn't know what her sister's true intentions were, but she knew she had to face her, so she got dressed in a tight black outfit, revealing just enough to make a statement, and walked confidently into the room. Ariel froze. She broke into a cold sweat. Wait, is this really Alicia? No one had ever seen Alicia's real face, not since she'd been cursed as a child. Alicia knelt gracefully and greeted her sister with sincerity. I hope my sudden change hasn't startled you. The curse has been lifted. I'm normal now. Normally a sister would be happy to hear this, but Ariel looked as if she'd been struck by lightning, completely shaken. She tried to pull herself together and forced a calm tone. How do I know you're really Alicia? No one's ever seen your true face? Alicia smiled, just slightly. So she doesn't believe me? Or maybe she just doesn't want to. Fine, I'll prove it. She reached out a slender finger and tapped a nearby ivory teacup. Crack! The cup instantly shattered into fragments. Hard ivory, broken like glass. Ariel's heart skipped a beat. She had no choice but to believe it now, because only Alicia could wield such incredible power. Ariel scrambled to act emotional. After a long, awkward pause, she finally squeezed out 2 fake-looking tears. She hugged Alicia tightly, sobbing dramatically. I've waited so long for this day. Come home with me. Let's return to the palace, together.
Imagine being reborn as a monster princess covered in hair. That's exactly what happened to Alicia, the second princess of the empire. But instead of giving in to despair, she used modern high-tech gadgets to completely remove all the fur from her body. Now, clean and confident, Alicia has returned to the royal palace. Today is a big day. It's the emperor's birthday. So, after her usual strength training session, Alicia plans to attend the royal banquet. Suddenly, bang, 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 someone pounds on her door. It's a rude, arrogant maid who struts into the room like she owns the place, not even glancing at Alicia. She points to a rack of clothes pushed in behind her and sneers, "These are the banquet dresses prepared for you by Her Highness, the Grand Princess." Alicia picks through the dresses, inspecting them. Now, she's from the modern world, so she doesn't fully know what this empire considers fashionable, but even she can tell. These clothes are hideous, outdated, clunky, completely out of touch. The maid rolls her eyes and adds with a sarcastic tone, "You've been living in a countryside villa for so long, of course you don't know what's fashionable in the city anymore. If you don't understand fashion, don't complain." And she wasn't done. Also, once you pick a dress, make sure you thank the Grand Princess. Got it? Alicia could see right through this. This wasn't just a dress delivery. This was a power move from her sister Ariel. The maid was just a pawn delivering a warning, but Alicia doesn't play nice, even with pawns. She calmly walks up to the maid, and then, whack, one clean slap across the face. The maid stumbles backward, nearly falling over. Alicia glares and says coldly, "That was to remind you of your place. Just because someone backs you doesn't mean you can walk all over a princess." Needless to say, Alicia didn't wear the dress Ariel sent. Instead, she went to the most famous boutique in the empire and picked her own outfit. Later that day, the emperor's birthday banquet began. Suddenly, Princess Alicia has arrived, the guards announced loudly. The entire hall erupted in murmurs. Wait, what? That monster showed up? She hasn't attended an event in over 10 years. But what they saw left them stunned. The monster they were expecting didn't walk in. Instead, it was a stunning, graceful beauty. Every step she took was poised, elegant, nothing like the creature they remembered. Alicia made her way to the end of the hall, where the emperor sat on his throne. She gave him a respectful bow and said warmly, "Happy birthday, father." The emperor just sat there in shock. He couldn't believe his eyes. This is my second daughter?" Her voice was unmistakable, but her appearance? He'd never imagined that the girl he once dismissed as a monster could be this breathtaking.
For the first time ever, the emperor saw the true face of his second daughter, Alicia. He couldn't believe his eyes. How could she be this beautiful? After a moment of stunned silence, he quickly snapped out of it. He rushed forward, hugged Alicia tightly, and loudly declared in front of everyone, "My second daughter has broken free from her curse. She's now a normal person. This is surely the goddess blessing our empire. Our empire shall prosper forever." The nobles below the throne immediately followed along, cheering and shouting praises, but Alicia could only sigh internally. Wow, this father of mine is seriously cold-blooded. Instead of being happy for his daughter, his first instinct was to use her transformation as a political tool to boost the royal family's prestige. She quietly stepped down from the throne and wandered through the banquet hall. Just then, another guest arrived. It was a man, and the moment he walked in, his appearance stunned the crowd. He was so handsome that people couldn't help but stare, especially his deep, black eyes. They were absolutely mesmerizing. Even Alicia was caught off guard. She stood frozen, unable to look away. That's when, bam! A blonde-haired guy suddenly rushed in, grabbed her hand, and tried to drag her away. Big mistake. Alicia, strong as an ox, instantly flung him aside with a slap. The blonde guy quickly got up and apologized. Sorry, you probably don't recognize me since you haven't lived in the palace. I'm your little brother, Zhao Hai." Trying to recover from the awkward moment, he continued, "By the way, that guy you were staring at, that's Duke Alan of the Empire." Then, Zhao Hai leaned in and dropped the real tea. "He's cursed. His mother was half demon. She married the former emperor. But that guy doesn't look human at all. He's totally got demonic features. And he wasn't done. You have to be careful. One day, he might awaken that demon blood inside him and turn into a total monster." Alicia was a little touched that her brother cared enough to warn her. It made her feel a tiny bit of warmth toward him. But then, Zhao Hai kept going, and then dropped this line. "Basically, that guy's just a filthy demon half-breed." Alicia was speechless. Okay, never mind. This brother of mine is just plain jealous of Alan. What a joke, she thought to herself. My emperor dad is supposed to be the ruler of this country, but all he ever does is use people to protect his throne. My younger brother is an overjealous, hot-headed brat. And my older sister Ariel? Don't even get me started. She's the classic two-faced manipulator. And yet, this messed up family is the one that holds the most power in the empire. Alicia couldn't help but think, this is the real tragedy of our nation. This was Alicia's first time attending a royal banquet since she cut off her long hair and cast off her past. But of course, her older sister couldn't resist trying to put her down again, this time by ordering a noble lady to humiliate Alicia in front of everyone. But Alicia wasn't about to let it slide. Giving in will only make enemies more aggressive, so she struck back with 10 times the force, embarrassing her attacker in return. Then, standing tall and proud, she declared her status to the entire room. "Even if I'm no longer the high and mighty second princess of the empire, I still possess the greatest power in this entire nation." The noble girls who followed her sister Ariel were furious, grinding their teeth, but they didn't dare talk back. Just then,
another man walked into the banquet. He was none other than the commander of the Night Order, the same man Alicia had once loved so deeply it nearly destroyed her. But he had never even looked her in the eye. Now, Alicia looked at him with a blank expression. So this is the legendary most handsome man in the Empire? Not impressive at all. Nowhere near as captivating as Duke Allen. And yet, this was the very man she was once engaged to. And now, in front of everyone, he walked right past Alicia as if she didn't exist, inviting her sister Ariel to dance instead. Ariel, ever shameless, eagerly accepted. Her little crew of followers instantly chimed in. Wow, the princess and the knight commander look perfect together. They're like a match made in heaven. Alicia was furious. Unbelievable. They're standing right in front of me, saying my own fiancé and my sister are soulmates? These women clearly don't respect me at all. But she knew, if she wanted to truly stand her ground in this empire, she had to erase the weak image people still held of her. Weren't they all saying Alicia was hopelessly in love with the knight commander? Well, it's time to show them what it looks like when a woman dumps a man cold. With that, Alicia slowly walked up to the couple. Ariel stiffened. Was her sister really bold enough to confront her right here? But Alicia simply looked down on them with disdain. You two really do look good together. Fine, I'll give him to you, sister. I'm calling off the engagement. The room fell silent. Everyone was stunned as Alicia turned around and walked out without a second glance. She stepped out onto a balcony overlooking the empire. The breeze was cool and intoxicating. As she stood there, she couldn't help but reflect on her painful past life. Maybe with this noble identity as Alicia, I can finally live a better life in this world. But then, her hand slipped, she lost her balance and began falling forward over the edge. Just in time, a strong hand grabbed her and pulled her back to safety. She turned to see who it was. It was Duke Allen. Alicia had just publicly dumped her two-faced fiancé at the banquet, and not even 30 seconds later, fate threw her into the arms of another man. The man who caught her before she fell? None other than Duke Allen, the same man who had completely captivated her with just a single glance. Held in his arms, Alicia was so overwhelmed by his gaze that she nearly started drooling. But a moment later, she snapped back to her senses, blushing like a shy schoolgirl, and quickly scrambled away from his embrace in embarrassment. Watching her elegantly run off, Duke Allen couldn't help but be baffled. But this wasn't the end of their story. Back at her mansion, after a few uneventful days, Alicia was now so bored she was banging her head on the table. Her loyal maid, worried that her mistress might go insane, rushed in to deliver some good news. Your Highness, the Emperor has announced a royal hunting competition. All nobles are required to participate. Even with this new activity on the horizon, Alicia looked completely lifeless. The truth? She couldn't stop thinking about how awkward she was during her encounter with Duke Allen at the banquet. Why didn't I take that perfect opportunity to talk to him? He's so handsome, and I just ran away like an idiot. Eventually, the maid explained the special rules of the hunting event. Apparently, the competition required noble ladies to pick a male noble as their hunting partner. The pair that hunted the biggest prey would be declared the winner. But there was a twist. Any male noble who didn't get chosen by a lady would be subjected to a public punishment, and from the sound of it, it was super embarrassing. Excited by the prospect of some action, Alicia suited up in a tight, flexible outfit and headed to the hunting grounds. But just as she arrived, one of the noble girls sent by her sister Ariel immediately tried to provoke her. Big mistake. Alicia fired back with a few sharp lines that left the girl shaking and speechless. Everyone nearby was stunned by how fast and brutal her comeback was. Just then, the Emperor made a grand announcement. Let the royal hunting tournament begin. All the noble ladies began choosing their partners one by one. Soon, every single male noble had been picked, which meant no one would be punished, or so it seemed. Suddenly, Alicia's younger brother Xiaohai stood up, clearly irritated. He glared at someone he couldn't stand, and then turned to address the Emperor. Father, may I make a suggestion? Why not make an exception this year and let members of the royal family join the hunt too? After all, it'd be such a waste for someone as esteemed as Duke Allen to be here and not do anything. To everyone's surprise, the Emperor burst out laughing. That sounds fun. Permission granted.
This wasn't your usual royal hunting event. It had a dramatic twist. Each noble lady had to choose a nobleman as her hunting partner, and the one left unchosen would face a public punishment. Naturally, the event turned into a frenzy. As soon as Prince Xiaohai appeared, all the noble ladies rushed in to claim him as their partner. Then came the captain of the knights, and he too was surrounded by excited noblewomen. Even the guards nearby were surprised. One of them even shouted out, "Hey, anyone still left to support the knight captain?" All eyes quickly turned to Alicia, since she was supposed to be his fiancé. Surely she'd step up, right? But Alicia just scoffed. That green tea, fake nice fiancé? I wouldn't touch him with a 10-foot pole. In the end, the knight captain picked another girl to be his partner. Then Alicia suddenly had a realization. Why didn't her sister, Ariel, choose the captain as her partner? She glanced back and saw Ariel giving a calm, innocent smile. That's when it hit her. She didn't want people gossiping, huh? Now there was only one nobleman left, Duke Allen, but no one dared to choose him. Why? Because he had black hair and black eyes, traits linked to the mysterious and dangerous demon clan. Plus, picking him meant potentially making an enemy out of Prince Xiaohai. That's when Alicia saw her chance. She stepped forward boldly, announcing that she would be Duke Allen's partner. Everyone was shocked. She confidently walked straight toward the Duke when suddenly, "Stop!" the Emperor shouted. "He's your uncle. Show some respect." Even Prince Xiaohai panicked. "Sister, please calm down." But Alicia didn't hesitate. She extended her hand like a true noblewoman, inviting Allen to partner with her. Duke Allen paused for a moment, then gently took her hand. The Emperor could only sigh. "All right, fine. Let the hunting tournament begin." Back at her camp, Alicia was just preparing to leave when she ran into her sister, Ariel, waiting outside the tent. Ariel looked upset. "Why didn't you choose your fiancé as your partner?" she demanded. Alicia smiled coolly. "I could ask you the same. You like the knight captain so much. Why didn't you pick him?" Ariel brushed it off. "Forget that. What matters is you chose him, the one with black eyes and demon blood." Alicia's answer
came slow and deliberate. So what? I used to be a cursed beast myself. Hearing that, Ariel was stunned. Her emotions ran high. If I knew you'd turn out like this, I should have never brought you back to the palace. And with that, she turned and stormed. They say men and women make a good team. Well, today, Alicia was paired up with Duke Alan for the royal hunting competition. But Alan, ever the cold and distant type, only gave her a short "thanks for cheering me on." Then he just walked off alone into the deep forest. Alicia didn't bother chasing after him. She was happy to go her own way, enjoying the peaceful chirping of birds and the scent of flowers. Ah, freedom. This feels amazing. To be honest, Alicia didn't really care about winning the hunt or the prize. But then she thought, if I did win, it might embarrass Dad, the Emperor, and my little brother, Prince Xiaohai a bit. That would be kind of fun. Right on cue, she heard something rustling in the bushes. Her senses kicked in immediately, combat mode on, only to find a cute little bunny staring up at her. She sighed and crouched down, gently petting the rabbit's head. Don't worry, I'm not into random killing. I just need to catch one giant animal to win this thing. Apparently, the bunny took that as a death threat and bolted. Even her horse got scared and ran away. Great, no prey caught, and now my horse is gone. Thinking fast, Alicia leapt up into the trees trying to scout out the biggest beast nearby. But instead of a beast, she accidentally overheard a shady conversation. Down below, a few young noblemen were whispering. From their hairstyle and aura, classic bootlicker energy, Alicia could tell they were Prince Xiaohai's cronies. And what were they talking about? They were planning to set a trap for Duke Alan. That was not going to fly. After all, Alan was her hunting partner. Messing with him meant messing with her. So she jumped down and beat the crap out of all three of them. Once she got the details out of them, she took off running to find Alan before he walked into the trap. As she ran, Alicia couldn't help but get a little excited. This is it! I saved the handsome Duke from danger and boom, romantic moment. But she was so caught up in the fantasy, she didn't see where she was going and fell straight into a swamp. Panic time. She quickly told herself to calm down. Don't move too much or I'll sink faster. After a brief moment of thinking, she came up with a totally insane idea. What if I spin my sword like a helicopter and lift myself out of here? So she pulled out her sword and started wildly spinning it around like a human blender. She tried this for 10 minutes straight, but the only result was the swamp reaching up to her waist. At this point, she gave up. "Help!" she screamed. Then, finally, a figure appeared through the trees, bathed in golden sunlight like some kind of heroic savior. For a second, she thought, is that the Duke? A dream come true? But as he got closer, it turned out to be her annoying, fake sweet fiancé, the one she couldn't stand. Of course, Alicia was stuck deep in a swamp, unable to get out. Her only hope? The man standing on the bank, her ex-fiancé. But instead of rushing to help, the guy just gave her a cold look and then started walking away. Panicked, Alicia yelled out, "Hey, I'm the second princess of the Empire. If you leave me like this, you'll definitely regret it." The knight commander, her ex, paused. After a moment of hesitation, he let out a heavy sigh and reached out his hand. But now, Alicia looked annoyed. "Oh, now you're willing to touch me? Back then you wouldn't even glance my way. And now you want to hold my hand? Can't you just get a branch or something?" She turned her face away, huffing. "Forget it, I'll wait for someone more destined." But before she could finish rolling her eyes, the man lifted her straight out of the swamp. Bridal style, Alicia landed on solid ground, not sure whether to yell at him or say thanks. The whole moment was awkward as heck. Just when it couldn't get any weirder, Duke Alan suddenly appeared out of nowhere. Alicia immediately ran past her ex and straight to Alan, looking super concerned. "Are you okay? Did anything happen to you?" Alan replied calmly, "Looks like you're the one who ran into trouble, princess." After hearing the full story, Alan turned to the knight commander, gave a slight respectful bow, and said, "Thank you for saving my partner." But the knight commander just looked annoyed and brushed it off. "I don't need a duke's thanks." Alicia quickly jumped in, thanking him sincerely. Even if he was annoying, the guy did save her. Meanwhile, the knight commander watched her walk away with another man. This was a girl he never even looked at properly before, but now, something about it stung a little. Alan then took Alicia to a nearby stream to wash off all the swamp muck. As Alicia cleaned herself up, she relaxed a bit, soaking in the peaceful forest sounds. Then she noticed something floating on the river. "Wait, isn't that my sword?" Alan saw it too and said, "I'll get it for you." He was about to step into the river, but Alicia waved her hands and stopped him. "No, it's fine. I'm already wet anyway. Let me grab it." But her reaction was so dramatic, her hand movement caused a huge splash, like 3 meters high. And just like that, the peaceful moment turned into a cheesy K-drama scene, complete with sparkling water and awkward romantic tension. Alicia somehow ended up pinning her crush to the ground in what can only be described as a weird romantic drama wall pinch, except horizontal. She was super embarrassed, so much so that she just wanted to disappear on the spot. But then she remembered the last time she saw Duke Alan, how she'd made a fool of herself and ran away. If she ran again today, he'd definitely think she was a total weirdo. So this time, Alicia took a deep breath and decided to face it head on. She explained everything to Alan. "The first time we met, I embarrassed myself. And now, again, I've made a mess of things. You must really think I'm a strange woman." But to her surprise, Alan immediately shook his head and replied, "I don't know why you think that's embarrassing. I didn't mind at all. To me, that's just what a real person is like." Hearing that, Alicia's heart lit up. She never expected Duke Alan, a man who had been through countless schemes and betrayals and seemed to have no emotion left in his eyes, to be so kind and comforting about her awkwardness. She smiled and offered her hand to help him up, and in that one touch, something changed. One was a woman cursed and feared, often called a monster. The other, a man shunned for being part demon, crushed under society's judgment. Yet in that moment, it felt like they had finally found someone who truly saw their soul. The two of them laughed, chatted, and headed back to camp, their bond now quietly strengthened. Though they hadn't caught a single magical beast during their outing, their spirits were high. But then, bam! Out of nowhere, a little green monster suddenly leapt at Alan. Alicia reacted instantly, grabbing Alan and pulling him aside, dodging the attack.
attack. She drew her sword and sliced the creature clean in two. But that was just the beginning. More and more monsters began swarming from all directions. Even though Alicia and Alan were skilled enough to handle them, something felt off. That's when Alicia realized, wait, they're all heading toward the main venue, and the Emperor and the young Sea Prince were still over there. No time to lose. They made a split-second decision. Alan stayed behind to hold off the monsters. Alicia raced off toward the venue to protect the royals. Back at the main hall, things were spiraling into chaos. Monsters charged in from every direction. The Knight Commander was leading the charge, fighting desperately alongside his troops. He shouted at his deputy, "Protect the Emperor and the Sea Prince. Get them out of here." But the Vice Commander replied with a deadpan face. They already slipped away a while ago. The Knight Commander was speechless. They just ran off, didn't even say a word, left us behind to cover their escape. The monsters kept coming. The soldiers were getting overwhelmed. There was no way out. Just when it seemed like all hope was lost, a glowing figure appeared on the battlefield. A heroine, radiant and powerful, had arrived. A whole squad of male knights was getting completely overwhelmed by monsters. They couldn't even fight back. But then she appeared. In just a few swift moves, Alicia cut down wave after wave of monsters like it was nothing. And yet the monsters just kept coming. Realizing the urgency, Alicia turned to the Knight Commander and demanded, "Give me command. We don't have time to waste." But the commander hesitated. After all, how could a woman possibly lead a battlefield? Alicia didn't have time for his outdated thinking. She shouted with authority, "As the chief strategist of the Imperial Army, I order all knights to follow my command from now on." Only then did the soldiers remember. Alicia wasn't just the Empire's delicate second princess. She was also a battle-hardened war tactician, known across the Empire as the Beast Strategist. With Alicia in charge, the knights quickly got their act together. They were no longer being beaten back. They were pushing forward. And just then, Duke Alan arrived. With both Alicia and Alan on the field, the tide of battle turned fast. Now it was the monsters getting crushed, unable to fight back. Hours passed, and finally the battle ended in a hard-won human victory. The knights cheered. "Long live Princess Alicia! Long live the Knight Commander!" But Alicia didn't look happy. Even though Alan had arrived late, he'd killed more monsters than anyone else, and yet no one gave him credit. Alicia knew why. In this twisted empire, noble politics were a joke. The current emperor? He used to be the third prince, the weakest and youngest. His two older brothers died fighting over the throne, and he just happened to survive and inherit everything. But he didn't deserve it. The prime minister balanced the nobles, the knights defended the empire, and the emperor, he did nothing. Even today, when the monsters attacked, he'd secretly fled with his son, Little Hai, leaving all the unprepared knights behind to cover their escape. As for Little Hai, he wasn't any better. Everyone gossiped about him. That prince has a twisted personality and a jealous heart. He's terrified Duke Alan will steal the throne someday. So what did he do? He started turning people against Alan, using his influence to spread doubt and hate. No wonder the knights didn't appreciate Alan. They were blindly following rumors and political games. Disgusted, Alicia didn't want to stay a second longer. She grabbed Alan and headed back toward the empire. But on the ride back, Alicia suddenly smelled something strange coming from Alan's horse. She leaned in closer and found a sachet hidden in its saddle. Not just any sachet. This one was designed to lure monsters. Its scent drove them crazy, drawing them in non-stop. Alicia was speechless. No wonder. My heart was pounding like mad when I saw him. Was I acting like a monster too? She joked to herself, but something felt off. Wait, why would Alan have something this dangerous with him? Under her intense questioning, Alan finally confessed. He'd found the sachet at the very start of the hunt. Someone had planted it on his horse. He hadn't planned to join the hunt at all, but Alicia had chosen him as her partner, and he didn't want to hurt her feelings. So, even knowing the risk, he joined her in the forest. And because he was afraid his presence might endanger her, he purposely went off alone to draw the monsters away from her. The emperor, Alicia's father, was practically groveling, begging his second daughter to lead the fight against the monsters. He even held her hand, trying to act warm and fatherly. But Alicia, she was absolutely disgusted. She remembered her past all too well. Back then, she was seen as a beast, unloved, unwanted, only able to prove her worth through raw strength on the battlefield. All she had ever wanted was a little affection, and now, her father was trying to manipulate that same longing. When Alicia didn't react to his fake kindness, the emperor sweetened the deal. "You'll be partnered with the Knight Commander." But instead of tempting her, that made Alicia even more unwilling to go. The emperor was stunned. "What? I thought you liked the Knight Commander." Alicia rolled her eyes. "Have you forgotten? I've already broken off my engagement with him. I'm not interested anymore." That's when the emperor finally lost his patience. "So this won't work, and that won't work. What will it take for you to agree?" All his fake gentleness vanished in a flash. Alicia calmly explained, "In the past, I was the beast. I found meaning through victories in battle. But now, my curse is broken. I want to live like other noble ladies, enjoy life, and find someone I truly love." Suddenly, the emperor's two lackeys jumped in, trying to guilt trip her. "Princess, refusing His Majesty is defying royal command. If you let your selfish emotions stop you from fighting, do you know how badly the monsters will devastate the empire? You're risking the fate of the entire nation." "That did it," Alicia snapped. "You two bastards, shut up! How dare you call me selfish? Are you saying this entire empire would fall without me? Just one woman? Is our country really that weak?" Her voice rose with every word. She was so furious, she nearly punched them right there in front of the emperor. It was only thanks to the emperor stepping in that a brawl didn't break out. Fuming, Alicia turned to leave and threw out a warning. "Don't try to use me like this again." But the emperor
stopped her one more time. If you leave, who else can lead the charge? You know it. There's no one in the Empire like you. Yes, I failed you as a father before, but please, just this once, fight for me again. Hearing him finally lower himself with sincerity, Alicia paused, then sighed. Despite everything, she nodded and reluctantly agreed. So just how ridiculous is this emperor? When he was out hunting in the wild and got wind of monsters heading his way, did he warn anyone? Nope. He quietly grabbed his son and ran, leaving a group of clueless knights behind to die buying time for him. Now, safely back in the palace, this shameless man decides it's time to launch a full assault on the monsters. But there's a problem. There's nobody strong enough in the Empire to lead the charge. So, who does he turn to? His second daughter, Alicia. But Alicia didn't want any part of it. What kind of girl spends her life fighting monsters? That's not normal. Before she could say no, though, the Emperor's two ever-loyal lackeys stepped in to guilt-trip her. Refusing like this is too selfish, princess. What about the fate of the Empire? That hit a nerve. Alicia was furious. I nearly died fighting for this country so many times, and just once I say no, and now I'm selfish? So she made a counteroffer to the Emperor. You want me to fight again? Fine. But from now on, I want to get paid for every mission. The Emperor tried to reason with her. But you're doing this for the nation. How can you treat it like a business deal? But Alicia stood her ground. No one appreciated me when I fought for free. They called me a beast. If I want recognition, then I'll put a price tag on my victories. Only when those lazy nobles have to pay will they understand how valuable I really am. One of the lackeys tried to argue, but Alicia suddenly slammed her foot into the floor, shattering the tiles beneath her. She glared at them. Anyone who questions me again will end up like this tile. Both lackeys panicked and instantly switched sides. Yes, the princess's terms are extremely reasonable. Alicia smiled sweetly and delivered her final demand, 2,000 gold coins per monster. Also, I'll be sending an invoice for the ones I killed during the last hunt. And with that, she walked out, leaving her father absolutely fuming. 2,000 gold per monster? I'll go bankrupt if this keeps up. Now desperate, the Emperor came up with another plan. He summoned Duke Alan to the palace. Putting on his most casual face, he said, Duke Alan, isn't it about time you return to your territory? You could take care of the monsters on the way back, just a little detour. But Alan politely declined. Sorry, Your Majesty, I'll be staying in the capital a little longer. The Emperor was confused. But your official duties are done. What's left to do here? Alan gave a cryptic smile. Some personal matters. The Emperor was losing it. No one was cooperating. Just when things looked hopeless, Alan made a suggestion. Why not send Prince Xiaohai on the mission? He's the heir to the throne. This would be a great chance to build his reputation and train him up. The Emperor panicked. But Xiaohai's never led troops into battle. Alan cut in smoothly. If that's a concern, I'd be happy to train his forces personally. At this point, the Emperor was completely crushed. Everyone was going against him. Not even his own nobles were playing along anymore. They say a girl before and after a makeover is like two different people. Take Alicia, for example. Once a wild girl covered in fur and grime, now transformed into a stunning, cold, but refined noble lady. With her new look, Alicia finally dared to dream about love. Just like all the other noble women, at the moment she was fast asleep, drooling a little, and dreaming sweetly about her secret crush, Duke Alan. Then suddenly, she heard someone calling her name. She opened her eyes and froze in shock. It was him, Duke Alan, standing right in front of her. Alicia panicked. She quickly wiped her mouth and fixed her disguise, but the red pillow mark on her face just wouldn't go away. Flustered, she tried to explain, Sorry, I stayed up late last night reading and doing embroidery. That's why I'm so sleepy today. What she didn't say was that she actually stayed up dueling with knights, but she couldn't admit that. She had to keep up her refined lady image. The two of them moved to a quiet garden for tea and a casual chat. Alan got straight to the point. He said he had originally planned to return to his territory after finishing his official duties, but now he wanted to stay in the capital a little longer. Alicia's heart nearly burst from joy, but she kept her cool and calmly asked, Is there something important keeping you here? Alan gave a straight-faced reply. I came across a beautiful flower here. I wanted to take a closer look. Of course, Alicia, being totally clueless about romance, thought he was talking about actual flowers. Inside, she gushed, Wow, he's so cute. Who would have guessed that a cold, aloof man like him has a soft spot for flowers? So she suggested with a smile. The green roses in the royal gardens are in full bloom. Shall we go see them together? Alan blinked, stunned. He didn't expect her to take his comment so literally. But hey, he had free time, and strolling with Alicia didn't sound bad at all. As they walked through the gardens hand in hand, laughing and talking, they looked just like a couple in love. When the moment felt right, Alan asked, Would you come with me to the celebration tomorrow? Alicia blushed. Is he asking me out on a date? She was just about to say yes when her older sister Ariel suddenly showed up. With a teasing smile, Ariel said, Wow, I thought you didn't have any friends in the palace, Alicia. I was worried you'd be lonely. But seeing you and Duke Alan getting along so well, I'm honestly so happy for you. Then she added, half joking, half serious, though I must admit, I'm a little jealous. I'd love to get close to the Duke too. Alicia's sister might look gentle and sweet, but she's got a little bit of that fake green tea charm going on. While Alicia was cursed and turned into a beast, her sister actually stole the fiancé that Alicia had worked so hard to get. Now that Alicia has regained her beauty and ditched the fake sister, she's happily flirting with the man she truly loves, Duke Alan. Just as things are getting romantic between Alicia and Alan, her sister stirs up trouble again. Right in front of Alicia, she says she also wants to get close to Duke Alan, and even invites him over to her palace for tea and a chat. Alicia is instantly furious. This was crossing a line. With a polite yet clearly forced smile, she looks at her sister and says, I assume your invitation includes me as well? You wouldn't want to leave your own sister out, would you? The tension between the two is obvious. But before things escalate further, Alan steps in. He calmly says he doesn't want to stay in the palace for long. The sister tries tries to recover quickly, saying they could go somewhere else if the palace feels uncomfortable. But Alan completely ignores her, gently takes Alicia's hand, and says, "It's time to head back, Alicia. Let me take you." He then coldly turns to the sister and says goodbye, leaving her standing there mid-sentence, speechless and fuming. The next day, the sister invites Alicia to her room. The two sit in silence, sipping tea, the air awkward and tense. Alicia can't quite figure out why her sister, who always puts on such a kind and gentle act, keeps acting so hostile toward her. After a long pause, the sister finally speaks, casually asking, "So, what did you and Duke Alan talk about?" Alicia replies calmly, "Oh, nothing much. We just agreed to attend the upcoming festival together." The sister stiffens, clearly caught off guard. "Wait, the Harvest Festival?" she asks. Alicia nods, confirming. The sister's tone shifts instantly, turning cold. "You can't go with Alan that day?" Unbothered, Alicia responds, "Since when do I need your permission for my own plans?" Trying to keep her cool, the sister explains that there's also a banquet at the palace that day, and as a member of the royal family, Alicia must attend. But Alicia already sees through the excuse. With a smug little smile, she replies, "What a coincidence. We weren't planning to go that day anyway." Completely thrown off, the sister snaps, "Just tell me the truth." Alicia doesn't flinch. She calmly asks, "Why are you getting so worked up, sister?" Realizing she lost control, the sister quickly puts her kind face back on and even apologizes. "I didn't mean to snap. It just makes me sad to feel like you're keeping secrets from me." Alicia leans in, smiling brightly. "Everyone has their secrets, sister. Like how you got together with my former fiancé without ever telling me, right?"
What's it like to go on a date with a man who seems cold on the outside, but is secretly super sweet and flirty on the inside? On their first date, Alicia and Duke Alan were walking through a lively street packed with delicious food. Alicia couldn't help herself. She was ready to dive in and start eating everything in sight. But Alan quickly grabbed her hand, looking genuinely concerned as he gently warned her, "Be careful. Don't get lost." It was like he'd forgotten that this woman, rumored to be a fierce beast of the battlefield, wasn't some delicate little girl. But Alicia actually liked being treated this way. It felt nice to be cared for. In a soft, sweet voice, she told Alan that she really loved ice cream. And Alan, flashing that warm, charming smile, said, "If you want it, even if it's a star in the sky, I'll get it for you." He told her to stay put and not wander off, then went off to buy the ice cream. At that moment, Alicia was totally falling for him. He was just too handsome. This was exactly the romantic vibe she wanted. She thought, later, I gotta take the initiative. Maybe this will be the day I give away my first kiss. Soon, Alan came back with a golden, delicious-looking ice cream. Alicia felt like her flirting skills had just been activated. She scooped up a bite and held it up to his mouth. And Alan? He didn't disappoint. He looked at her sweetly, scooped a bite himself, and gently fed her back. Alicia was in heaven. This was perfect. Then she had another idea. She asked Alan if he could get her a cup of milk tea, but made sure to emphasize, only one cup, okay? I don't have a big appetite. Alan readily agreed. Of course, he didn't know that Alicia's real plan was to share one cup and one straw with him, to get that indirect kiss moment. While Alan was off buying the milk tea, Alicia started wandering around nearby stalls. One particular vendor caught her eye, a shady-looking guy with a creepy vibe. In front of him sat a single fountain pen. But as soon as Alicia saw it, she completely zoned out. It was like the pen was pulling her in. In a daze, she decided to buy it. Just as she was about to, a young man with a roguish charm appeared. He told her to hand over the pen and even grabbed it from her. Oh no, Alicia's temper flared up instantly. Who did this guy think he was? Things escalated fast. The two started arguing, throwing insults. Alicia didn't hold back and ended up gripping his arm so hard that she actually fractured it. But the guy wasn't done either. He started casting magic, clearly ready for a fight. Right then, a man claiming to be the young guy's father showed up. And at the same time, Alan returned. Once everything was explained, the older man apologized to both Alan and Alicia. Alan, staying classy, just said calmly, "It's fine, Count Elson." Hearing that name made Alicia freeze. Her mother was from the Elson family, and this man standing in front of her was her actual uncle.
Right after Alicia went on a date with Duke Alan, her father, the Emperor, found out that he jumped at the chance to explode with anger. The royal celebration is right around the corner, and the delegation from the Empire is about to visit our kingdom. You're the second princess, and you still have the time and energy to go out and have fun without giving her a choice. He ordered Alicia to take full responsibility for receiving and entertaining the visiting imperial delegation. And if anything went wrong, both Alicia and Duke Alan would be punished for being careless and irresponsible. Alicia didn't even hesitate. She immediately agreed. She wasn't afraid of punishment, but she didn't want Alan to get dragged into it. Still, the thought nagged at her. How did her father even know about the date? It had to be her older sister, Ariel, who snitched. With a guilty expression, Ariel came to Alicia and asked, "You're not mad at me, right? I told father you snuck out. I just didn't want anything to happen to you." "Oh, come on. What kind of nonsense was that? Only an idiot wouldn't be mad after getting ratted out like that." Ariel looked away, full of guilt, and added, "You just came back to the capital. You don't know the place well yet. And the man you were with, he's half demon, Alicia." At first, Alicia didn't want to make a big deal of it, but then she heard Ariel say that, and she was done. Duke Alan? Dangerous because he's part demon? Yesterday, Ariel was saying she wanted to sit down for tea with Duke Alan, and now she's calling him some kind of threat behind his back? Two-faced much? "I don't want to talk to you anymore," Alicia said coldly. Ariel pleaded from behind, "Don't go. I'm only doing this for your own own good. Is that man really so important to you? Alicia turned back and gave her a cold smile. You keep saying it's for my own good, but ever since I returned to the capital, the only person who's truly supported me has been Duke Allen. If you're just going to use "I'm doing this for you" as an excuse to guilt trip me, then we're only going to grow further apart. Back at her palace, Alicia hadn't even had time to calm down when her uncle, Count Elson, whom she'd randomly run into the day before, showed up. He'd already heard that Alicia was now in charge of receiving the imperial envoys. And these envoys? Not easy people to deal with. They looked down on smaller kingdoms and were known for being arrogant and hard to please. If anything went wrong, Alicia would be labeled a failure and endlessly criticized by the royal family. Her uncle admitted he came to help. He'd spent years dealing with imperial merchants and knew exactly how to talk to them. And what gifts would win them over, he promised to help Alicia win their favor. But in return, he had one condition. Alicia had to help restore the Elson family's reputation. They'd been gradually pushed out of the noble circles in the empire, and the painful truth? Most of that fall from grace was because of Alicia.